Oh, you got. Oh, I think I got it. Uh, okay, check to see if there's audio now. Yep, that's okay. Because I think I have a solution. Okay, Adam, say something.
Something.
Okay, check the stream now. It should be picking up.
Yep, you got it.
Hey,
We're actually
Awesome.
live.
there we go.
All right.
Oh, computers, man.
Computers, we rely on them, and yet sometimes they just don't want to rely on us. What does that mean for technology?
They're becoming sentient.
More at 11.
We're
Back to you,
slightly
Jen.
better at making visual novels than we are at streaming on
so.
Twitch.
It's funny.
Well, I'm not actually sure about that, to be honest. It's taken us over 10 years to make a visual novel. It's only taken us about 5 minutes to start streaming on Twitch.
Now we
So
didn't.
that's pretty good going.
We didn't say we were
Wow,
good.
technology.
We didn't say we were good at making visual novels. We were better at visual novels than streaming.
Yeah.
There we go. Anyway, hello everyone, and welcome to the 10th anniversary Somnova Studios stream. Thank you for coming. I'm Hamadine. I'm the director. And let's have everyone else introduce themselves.
Oh, am I going first?
Might as well.
I'm Bodo. I'm the PR for Somnova and the one actually streaming.
But not entirely responsible for the technical difficulties. We can all take the blame.
Only 90% responsible.
My name is Adam Warren. I'm the writing lead and the writer for the Annalisa route.
And I'm Downix. Began with QA at Arcadia, ended up editing Missing Stars, and now I'm writing Isolde.
I should mention I'm also writing for Jean. So I do two things. At least two things. Wear two hats.
And many more.
I kind of do a little bit of everything. But that's beside the point. So today we have a couple of questions that you guys asked. We asked you guys to fill out a quick survey with a couple questions, your burning questions, your deepest, darkest desires laid bare for us to read and eventually answer. So we can probably just get started here.
And but just before we get started, if the audio levels are too high or too low, just let us know in chat, and I'll adjust as we go, if need be.
Yep, we can do that. Okay, let's get started here. Question 1. What influenced the art style for Missing Stars? This is definitely a fun one to think about because it's been quite a while. We initially had a couple of ideas ranging from, we had some very sketchy types of art styles. One of our concept artists, Imperial Standard, at the time, he was pretty big at bringing his art style, and we almost, I think, went with his and just we were either going to color his or we are going to do something different. Ultimately, though, we decided to go with rendered sprites like what you see in our game right now, mainly inspired by Shin Megami Tensei, Persona games. Shoji Meguro's general art style gave us kind of what we wanted. A lot of soft blended light, a sort of mix between just pure anime and something a little different. Morth Isaac eventually brought us to kind of the style that we have today, where we do have, again, that mix of that anime style as well as the Western art style that he was better known for, which is why we liked his art style in particular. He has a distinct art style on his own, as you see. You'll see that in Arcadia. If you play Arcadia, that is pretty much entirely Morth Isaac's art style at this point. So his ability to blend the two styles really gives Missing Stars kind of a unique flavor in terms of art, which we're pretty excited about.
I'm real glad it isn't just pure anime, because if it was, I'd probably care for it quite a lot less. I'm a bit, I think, unusual in being a visual novel developer who doesn't care for anime all that much. There can't be that many of us. Although, let me know in the chat if you are one such person, because that's something rare that we probably have in common.
And I also want to add, going back to Arcadia for a sec, that's honestly, that's probably one of my favorite ways that in terms of visual style, it's probably one of my favorite visual novels. You know, and I know I'm quite biased because I'm on the development team, but honestly, just the way North Isaac drew everything and styled it, combined with the overall futuristic theme and soothing jazz music, it's I love it.
It's such it's a real indulgent game. Yeah, pour yourself a nice glass of a good whiskey, and go get Arcadia on Steam.
It's free and it has smooth jazz to go with your whiskey.
Yeah,
I love Arcadia.
I want to point out with that game, the most complaints we get on Steam reviews is that it's not long enough. That's
Right?
the biggest complaint.
We made it for a game jam a long time ago. God, it's not even that long ago, really. We made it in, like, I think 2018.
Hmm.
And it's like, wow, it's already been that long? What? What's happened? But, you know, I feel really proud of that one. It was a really short project. I really do like doing those smaller scale projects from time to time. So I am kind of excited to potentially do more like NaNoRenO projects, game jam projects, hopefully this year. So hey, yeah, we might see that.
Yeah, Nano's coming up in just like it's next month, right? It starts on
Next
the 1st of
month,
March.
and like it's like 3 weeks.
Oh
Sick,
boy.
okay.
I'm actually
I mean, I'll definitely be doing something. I don't think Somnova have any firm plans yet, but I'm sure many of us on the team will be joining some Nano project.
yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to participating this time. Like I've said this in dev channels before. I just feel like like a nice change of pace. I think is really gonna benefit myself. It's gonna have a nice break from Missing Stars, and I'm really hoping to take what I learned from NaNoRenO and apply it to Missing Stars.
Absolutely. And I see that Mary has joined us. Hello, Mary. Do you want to introduce yourself?
An intro that basically entirely swallowed by Discord noise removal, but that's I love it.
I'm having mic issues, sorry.
There you go.
That's okay.
It's okay. We were having audio issues earlier.
It'd be weird and uncomfortable if everything worked out okay.
And of course, you were telling everybody to stare by.
I'm borderline illiterate. What can I say?
Leave him
All right,
alone.
let's get back to Mary here. Let's have her introduce herself real quick.
Excuse me.
Oh, now I'm on the spot. Hello, everybody. I'm Mary. I'm an artist on the Somnova dev team.
Great. Well, happy to have you on for our anniversary stream. Very exciting. All right. We just finished kind of what our influence of our art style was, which is really fun. And then number 2, what are some tips you wish you knew when you started? I already, of course, pre-filled out this answer because I knew it immediately. Never leave every decision up to a vote. Definitely, we did have some organizational issues very early on in development where kind of everyone had a say, and I think that didn't lend well to development. I mean, we make the joke that, oh, we're taking I'll be the heat death of the universe by the time we finish Missing Stars. The early development was a bit kind of slow. We made a lot of voting decisions on pretty much every single thing, and then I think that kind of slowed us down. It is probably just better to just be like, all right, you know, so and so needs to be a leader or needs to like say, hey, let's cut off discussion and be like, let's be done with this on X day and just go with what we want, as opposed to trying to go back and forth on decisions. As I said before, leadership is really huge. That's super important. Knowing who works well with like extra guidance and extra steps, and knowing who is better at working semi-independently is also really good, because sometimes you don't need to poke and prod everybody. Some people do need that extra poke though to make sure that they're, still active.
The idea that everyone on the team can be involved in every decision is probably flawed. Maybe it would work for smaller teams and smaller projects, but we're a team of what, 30 something?
20
On a
plus.
20 plus?
Yeah, 20 plus.
Fairly large for a volunteer thing. And it's a big old project. And it's just going to move absolutely glacially if you have to wait for a vote to come in from every person before you do anything. So we have a kind of organizational structure now that we didn't have a few years ago. Not really. It's become much more structured and planned out now.
I think actually having some kind of hierarchy is really important. Like just having like leads, like lead writers, a director, a lead artist, that kind of thing. It really, really does bring some kind of structure to the team, and people really like structure. There was, there have been pushes to try and have a more structureless team style. And yeah, it really only works for small teams. I feel for a team as large as ours, it's much better to have a couple people calling the shots and have the rest of the people kind of like slowly fill out the rest of the pieces. I think especially with writing, I know for you, Adam, you've been doing quite a lot at just getting us organized as a writing team. And that really just wouldn't be possible if everyone had a say as to how they wanted the writing team to be run.
You're getting dangerously close to setting me off talking about Notion, and no one wants that.
Everyone wants that note, Mr. Notion Man.
But yeah, I really enjoy organizing things. It turns out, and there's a lot of Oh, fuck Notion, fuck you, Mex. No, none of that. Sorry, that's going to be in the recording now. That's not an official Somnova position, but personally, no, I'm not having that. Notion's great, very useful tool. We use it to store and organize hundreds, literally, like we've got a database with about 650 sprites in it. And it's really useful for sorting through all of our sprite assets and organizing writing. Oh, it's great. It's great. Organization is vital, and Notion's very good for that.
It's super nice. Yeah. All right. Next question. For those of you willing to share, what are some coping mechanisms you use to deal with stuff?
Who wants to go first? Or are we
I
just
listen to a shitload of ASMR, and that keeps my brain quiet. If my brain gets too loud, it's going to be a bad time. So I need like constant noise. A lot of ASMR. That's my coping mechanism.
I know for myself, I deal with a lot of anxiety and depression, and that can drain me a lot. So for bad days like that, my biggest thing that I've been finding is self-care. So basic stuff like when was the last time I drank something? When did I eat? Did I shower today? Is there something specific bothering me? Maybe I can write it down, listen to favorite music, just stuff to, like, self-care, self-nurture, and just try and distract myself because, it's important to be in touch with yourself and always be wondering, like, what's going on in your head. Sometimes you just need to distract yourself. Doesn't, you know,
Yeah.
doesn't,
Totally.
it doesn't mean avoid what's going on, but, take a break.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to just be away from the screen for a little bit. For me, like I do a lot of cooking at home. So usually if I'm done for the day, I'm like, all right, I gotta cook dinner. So I take my time getting dinner ready, I made a mushroom goulash today, which is really tasty.
Nice.
Sounds
I mean, I
lots
love
of
anything with a mushroom in.
lots of mushrooms. It's
Gotcha.
delicious. It's vegetarian. I'm trying to get a lot more vegetarian now because while I love cooking, some of the things I like to cook are full of meat, and that's not really the best thing to do. It's also super expensive, so it's better to save some money and have more vegetables.
Cooking is fun.
I don't do enough of it. Whenever I actually cook like an interesting meal that I have to think about a little bit, I really enjoy it. But then I don't do it again for like a month. I'm very lazy.
That's my problem. One thing I've been doing to get off the computer, because that's been a major issue for me, is instead of playing solitaire on my phone or the computer, I will actually just get a pack of cards and just play a couple games that way, the old-fashioned way. It's very nice
Oh,
to
I've
get
been
away.
really into board games recently. Yeah, me and my
Oh.
partner, we've been playing a lot of board games. The bird one. What's the bird one called? I think I spoke to you very briefly about it, haven't I?
I know what you're talking about.
I can't remember. It's on the hold on. It's on the table right behind me. No, it's not. Where is it? I don't know. But there's
I
one
know what you're
about
talking about
birds.
too. I know it's the one you're basically cultivating an entire like field of like birds, and you get points based on the types of birds you have.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Really good
Beautiful
game.
game.
Hatoful boyfriend?
No,
Shut
that's a video game, Donix. This is a board game.
I know.
I
Out of a
genuinely
boyfriend.
have no
Pretty
idea
fun.
where it's gone. Oh, Wingspan. There you go. It's called
That's
Wingspan.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
Wingspan. Oh my god.
Doing things in the
That's a good
physical
one.
world away from the computer screen is very nice. And I
I have
recommend it.
a group of local friends that I play board games with, and we play like Carcassonne. We play. We've played Dominion. We've played one of the goofiest ones, Dinosaur Tea Party. Which, yes, it's just as funny as it sounds.
Excellent name.
Especially if you put on ridiculous Victorian accents and just go full ham. And I am really good at doing that. I had a blast playing it. I gotta play that again now. Damn, it's so much fun.
So Kuro just posted in the chat, Twitter is my therapist. Kuro, are you okay?
I can't imagine a worse possible therapist. I would have I'd immediate breakdown.
Yeah, that's a big reason why I'm not on Twitter outside of Somnova. I deleted my account last year.
I just follow artists I like, and I pretty much limit it to that, and that's pretty good. That's solved a lot of my problems.
I don't know. I'm on enough social media for me to go back to Twitter, but what can you do?
Honestly, yeah, I think the best like coping mechanism is just don't bother with social media. I think is another really solid point of advice.
Yeah,
I should follow this advice, but I don't think I ever will.
Block yourself out of your own Twitter.
If I want to be really angry about something, then I'll go on Twitter and I'll be angry pretty damn quick.
All right, before we get too mad, we should probably move on to the next question. All right. What are your main development obstacles going forward that you foresee? I mean, there's a lot. There's a whole list. I think the big thing is probably just team coordination. It's just getting everyone together and getting everyone like, all right, we have to give you an assignment. We got to make sure you get it done on time. That's been helpful so far. Adam has used his Notion powers, Notion sorcery, to give us like a whole schedule and show us, say, hey, you have a scene due. You should get to work on that.
Organization is very, very useful, and I'm glad we're organized in that way now. But the biggest barrier that I foresee is always going to be motivation. You can be as organized as you want, but especially in creative endeavors like this, especially in volunteer creative endeavors, then if there's no motivation, it doesn't matter how well scheduled you are. It just isn't going to happen. You won't keep to the schedule. It's a problem for me personally, and it's been an issue in the past for I think everyone on the team at some point or another.
I think the biggest example of that is probably just the pandemic. I think all of our creative juices were sucked dry by the idea, by just the fact that, oh, a deadly disease is outside and I can't go outside anymore. That was really sad. That definitely sucked out like a good year and a half of productivity from the whole team. I think we pretty much all spent 2020 just let's
Surviving.
just get stuff organized. Let's try and do what we can to set up for when we are better suited for actually working on stuff. To our credit, we did get some stuff done. We got our code base organized and a little bit better. So it's like we did get some stuff done, but we did not get nearly as much done as we really wanted. But I think with 2022, we've definitely been making a lot of internal progress so far. We're really excited about that, and we're really excited to share that with you guys.
Yeah. Shit's properly steaming ahead now.
Ha! I got that pun. Well done. Well done. You did
I
good.
noticed it was
Aw.
halfway through saying it.
Get out of
I
here.
almost stopped myself, but
Never,
yeah.
never stop yourself with a pun. If you think, oh, I shouldn't say that,
Never
say
stop.
it.
Never stopping.
Horror already clipped Notion Man going off on Notion haters.
Classic. All right. Next question, number 5 here. Any suggestions or tips for newcomers who want to start or be involved in a visual novel project? It's certainly that's always the big question. I think my biggest advice probably for that is it's one thing to have an idea. It's be like, I would love to do this idea. It's another thing to actually have an actual real plan to lay it out. If you're going to start on a team or if you're going to try and get people to work on your project with you, it's far better to actually have a plan ready, have character concepts, have a rough storyline. That's not to say you need to have it completed, but if you have a general idea of how you want your story to go and what you want your characters to do, that's far better than like a single line isekai concept where it's like 500 words, but it's actually just some kind of cutesy portmanteau. Like, what is it? Reincarnated as a slime. That's one. Like all those really long form essays that just are the title of the isekai. Like, that's not necessarily a thing you want to start a concept on. You need to have more than that.
What do you mean? Don't you want to go see Darling Elf? I can't even. Okay, I can't keep a straight face with this one.
You were hating it before you'd even started saying it. I felt the regret. If it's visual novel specifically, and you want to make a visual novel, first off, we're all amateurs and probably aren't in a great position ourselves to give like brilliant advice. I don't feel totally qualified, but just start writing, start getting notes. My first visual novel project that never actually released, but I finished the full script for it, and then it never turned into a game. Was based on an outline I wrote at work when I was in a job years ago that I hated, and in my downtime I would just sketch out this draft of a story. And if you're an individual who thinks they have an idea for a story that they would like to be a visual novel, just write the story first and then see if you can find a group of people to turn it into a visual novel. It didn't work for me one time, but then kind of did work for me with another project. So it's like a 50-50 success rate, which I think is pretty good. Although the sample size is 2, so you probably can't rely on that.
They got one victory out of there.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yay!
And even if we are amateurs, like, we do have experience with this project. We can say what worked for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're making Missing Stars, and we've got a few other VNs under our belt now, so we've learned some lessons.
I think so. I think now that we've learning said lessons kind of gives us better clarity of like, okay, here's what not to do. Here's what we should be focusing on at like certain points in time. I know there was a time where I want to say for weeks we were just deciding on which characters we wanted for a visual novel because we didn't really have clear cut concepts for our characters. So we had at least 35 characters that we kind of voted on battle royale style, and eventually came up with the cast that we have today. It was a real mess because there were a lot of really good ideas. We had a lot of really fun ones that we really loved, but we just ultimately could not use. But we did rescue one character. Uh, it's great. We rescued one character, Agatha, from what is essentially the scrap heap, thanks to Downix. So we might be seeing a little more of her in Act 1 and in subsequent routes. So go Downix.
Yay!
Woo!
Well, I just don't like seeing good ideas not used.
Fair enough.
Agatha won't be the only one, I think. There are a couple of other concept characters who
We do, yes. We
will
did.
show up for real in Act 2.
We did manage to recycle a couple of older characters, either into side characters that are friends of some of the main characters, even in the background as well. We've included some background characters that we decided, like, well, we already have the concept for some of these characters. Let's just put them in there, and we did. And it's pretty fun.
I think
Reduce
another.
the NPCs.
Oh yeah, and like you'll see a lot of them in the Steam release.
Yes.
Look out for fun little characters in the background who will show up more than once. They aren't just totally random designs pulled out of nowhere. They're a part of their rich tapestry of Missing Stars history.
Yes. And you probably point to any of the characters that you can see in the backgrounds, and we'll probably say, "Oh yeah, we got a whole backstory for this character. Don't worry about it."
It's amazing how much we have, like, backstories for so many of our characters that people, generally speaking, are never going to see.
Kind of, yeah. I think we have. Let's see, we have a whole written history for Dr. Bosworth, Dr. Faber. I want to say Edna Clace as well has like a full history that we've written up to kind of define their character. Maybe in the future we might release them, like the full character sheet, just to show like here's the detail we put into this character. That might be a fun bonus material item that we include at some point. I know people would be dying for that stuff because we already have people that are writing fan works with just the stuff that we have from Act 1, which is super impressive, by the way. Really proud of all the people that have made anything for us, whether that's a drawing, a piece of fan fiction. It's seriously fantastic. I am super touched by everything that I see, and it's really kind of awesome to see that people like want to add more in their own way to our little universe that we've created. It's really touching.
I'm
Here's
hoping-
another quick hot tip on the suggestions for newcomers thing. Don't make something like Missing Stars. Don't make something this big. It's a silly idea. Make something very small. Do a game jam. Jams are really fun. If you drew a line graph of Somnova productivity, you would see huge spikes whenever we do a jam project because
Yep.
setting a very limited, small scope project and actually achieving it and releasing it is brilliant for morale. It's fantastic. So starting off with a huge project that's going to take years to make,
No.
you're going to run out of steam. Don't do it. You need small projects to sustain you.
Definitely small scale is better. Work your way up. there's it's funny. I'm going to reference Magic the Gathering, my all-time favorite game of all time. So the way they design sets and cards, they're one of two ways. They do a top-down design where they have a specific theme in mind, and it trickles down to like all the details. So Missing Stars is definitely more of a top-down design. We took the high concept of okay, we have we have a story setting where we're focusing on people that have mental disorders, mental disabilities, etc., and then go from there. So we had a very high concept, and we had to basically just drill down and get all this stuff. Now other games um, will do something different. They'll start from the bottom up. They'll start with a character or a specific set of characters, and they'll create a story around that and build upwards. Um, Depending on your project, you'll want to go one of those ways. Larger scale projects can sometimes benefit from having a lot of detailed characters. Um, and I think if we had started that way, we might have done better early on because we would have had strong characters from the very beginning. Instead, we kind of had to make the setting, make the characters, make all the story beats, and then finally actually start building the story. So that took a lot longer than it should have, probably because of the way we decided to design it.
Don't make visual novels like us.
Basically, yeah,
Bad idea.
don't do what we did. We've definitely taken a couple of missteps during our time here, but honestly, I don't regret it. It sucks that maybe we could have done this faster and we could have done this differently, but ultimately we're here. We've made a pretty fantastic product with Act One. It's even going to be better once we get out once we get out to Steam. Once we get it out, the rest of the game, of course, that'll certainly be a thing. But I'm very excited with what we have so far. I'm very proud of everybody. All right, I think we move on to the next question here because we've been stuck on this for a while. During Act 1, there are a few songs in the OST that only appear once or twice over all 6 routes. Are there any plans to utilize songs like these more in the future acts to prevent a feeling of repetitiveness from certain more prevalent tracks like Be Green and showcase the amazing work musicians put into the game? We actually do have a pre-recorded answer from our music lead. Let me pull that up here. I'm just scrolling on my scroll wheel.
Be green.
Be green. Yeah, we use that a lot. That's like our general theme. So when school stuff's happening.
You can never get enough of Be Green.
Be green's great. I love being green. It's not always easy being green. It's great. But anyway, so here's what A Stars has to say. Yes, definitely. Since the soundtrack for Act 1 is pretty much all but done, the music team has time and resources to work on further songs for the game post Act 1. So not only will we make sure to get more spotlight on the songs that, for mood reasons, haven't been featured as much, but there will also be a significant number of route-exclusive songs to prevent any feeling of repetitiveness.
Stardust, by the way, is our sound lead, and he does a fantastic job with the anything sound with Missing Stars, whether it be music, sound effects.
He has his own Foley setup, which is kind of insane, but also really fun. The man is dedicated to sound.
One of the best people.
Oh yeah,
that's also true.
Stars is wonderful.
He's probably one of my best friends.
Yay, friends! We're all friends here. I like everybody. You guys are all awesome.
I think if you think some of the music in Act 1 is a little repetitive, that's probably a fair criticism. But I think it would be fair to say that the range of emotion portrayed is much narrower in Act 1 than it will be in the remaining 3 acts of the game. So that's it. You wouldn't want to use a track that's really laden with emotion in a moment that didn't call for it. So if anything, we need more tracks like Be Green, so that you aren't just hearing that one. Although there is Be Blue and Be Violet and Be Green Afternoon.
Yes.
We remix our own music at Somnova.
It's important. It's important to recycle. It's good for the music environment.
But you'll hear a lot more variety, especially in Act 2 and beyond, where
we
we touch on.
You're
more
gonna get
different-
real sad. There will be sad moments. I can say this because I'm the director. I can say whatever I want. Sadness will happen.
Sadness
You
must
might
happen.
you
can
might
mandate
cry.
sadness.
You might cry. There will be drama.
it's also walking a fine line between having variety and also changing things for the sake of change, which is never the goal. You don't want to change. Words are hard. Somebody help
This
me.
is really hard. This is why it's taken 10 years to get Missing Stars out. It's mostly words. Shit takes ages.
Words. We have 240,000 plus words in Act 1 alone. So that goes to tell you, like, this is how many words we have now.
I don't even know that many words.
How do we do it?
We've established I'm borderline illiterate, so
Sometimes we use the same word like multiple times. Like I think we use the word the and the word and. I think they probably in there a few times, so we're kind of cheating. It's not
called a
240,000
thesaurus.
original words.
You can do
There,
that?
Is
Yeah.
there a synonym for the? How does that work?
I bet there probably is, but I'm not smart enough to know it.
We'll Google it later. All right, next. Will there ever be animated cutscenes per route like Katawa Shoujo had? If not, would it be something you would do for an update if someone in the future offered to do it?
Wouldn't it be lovely?
It'd be really great if we had an animator. It certainly would be a freaking awesome idea. I would love to do that, but one, we don't have an animator that we can readily call on at this point. It'd be really cool if we did, though. I would be stoked if we had that. But right now we don't really have any plans to include those. Though I would assume if there is a generous benefactor that wants to have animated cutscenes, then by all means, totally work with them.
Is an opportunity for some Missing Stars deep lore for you that maybe I'll get told off for talking about because it's so long ago. Way back in time, before I was even involved, Mike and L was here and was part of the team and
Yes,
made
he
some assets.
was.
And I think there were in the very early plans for Katawa Shoujo style animated little cutscene things.
I believe we did have an animated intro planned at some point with a very early concept. If I'm trying to remember it now. I believe it involved mainly it just involved a train station and a train, kind of referencing an earlier iteration of Eric, who we gave retrograde amnesia to. We were really gonna get into like the whole headspace of what does it mean to lose your memory, to lose yourself, and that kind of fun stuff. But wow, that was a hard concept to write for. We could not get that consistent at all. But I digress. But yeah, Mike Adele is also responsible for the uniform design for all of our characters right now. So the modern uniform design that you see in our game, that's pretty much been consistent throughout the entirety of Missing Stars' development. So thank you, Mike. You're fantastic wherever you are. Well, I know where you are, but I can't reach you. You're thousands of miles away. But yeah, there you go. Deep lore right there.
Can't believe he left us. Traitor.
Nah, dude got super busy. I mean, he's a fantastic artist now. He's making his own games. He makes a bunch of fun games I think he does mainly in Unity, I think.
I didn't know that. I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, he does a lot of those. He does his own independent art. Like he's incredibly talented. So I'm super excited to see that he, still does, really fantastic art. Because I know I think when he was doing the stuff for Katawa Shoujo, he was really getting off the ground. And now he's just gone, he's just, professional artist full on. And it's really cool to see. Okay. Do you plan to finish the free non-Steam version, or the only full version will be for sale on Steam alone. Did that come out right? I think it meant to be that do you plan to finish the version that's not on Steam? So I think they mean that they are itch.io version.
I think so.
Okay, so to clarify, we will update Missing Stars Act 1. That will be updated, and that'll be the version you can get on Steam, on itch.io, etc. That'll be available throughout. And then the full version is also going to be available on Steam and itch.io when we get to that. So I hope that clears up the question.
And
Also, it won't be for sale.
It's free.
Well, yes, it will be free. Yeah, this will be $0 and 0 cents American. Yeah, it's free real estate. That's right. It'll be totally free. We've always intended the game to be free. We don't intend on charging for a fun experience, something that we have really loved making throughout these last couple of years. For me, it's a decade. And yeah, absolutely. If there's ever the case to like make it like, oh, we can make a physical copy, then we could probably do something funny like that. But we'll see.
The amount of whenever I tell people about Missing Stars, the amount of times I get people asking, but what how much money is going into this? Like, how much is it going to cost? There's got to be something. I say, nope, it's free. It's a labor of love.
It's free. The only thing we ask of you is to pay a little bit of your time, and time is everything, of course. So, that's how that works.
Pay us.
I mean, I sold a little bit of my soul for Missing Stars, but I think
You can put a little bit of soul in everything. Yeah, that's how it works.
This is one of the few times.
At this point, Missing Stars is my phylactery. I'm a lich now. I don't know if you knew this. I've basically just put my entire soul into Missing Stars at this point. If Missing Stars is someone destroyed, I would just die. That's how that works.
Missing Stars is one of the few projects online that is actually acceptable. Not only acceptable, but encouraged by us to pay us in exposure.
Ah, yes. If you know people that are interested in visual novels, please tell them about us. We love to see people experience our stuff for the first time. We've gotten plenty of first impressions. Plenty of people who have joined our server just saying, I really like your game. A friend told me about this and it's awesome. I'm always just flattered to hear that, like how people learn about Missing Stars. And it could be just like found it on Google. I think plenty of people found us through TV tropes of all things.
That's so interesting to me because I've looked at that website for about 2 minutes in my whole life. I didn't know it was such a huge thing that
Neither did I.
people use for discovery. Very interesting.
And the thing that makes me proud of the writing team in particular is a lot of, particularly on our Discord, a lot of people have joined saying, I really liked how you portrayed this character. I suffer with X disorder, and this is really accurate and respectful, and it makes me smile, and it makes me proud of the writing team for how much effort and just love they put into each character that they write for.
We do.
Yeah, that makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside every time I hear that. I got a really heartfelt thank you from a fan a couple weeks ago, where they explained how important it was that they saw that I can probably say this now. It's for Jean, who has Tourette syndrome, and they were extremely happy to see that not only had I written a very respectful rendition of a character with Tourette's, but had made her into such a fun and endearing character. And that was super, super heartfelt for me. I loved the fact that this person was just so happy that I've been able to do that for them. So I was super touched by that. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Do we want to move on to the next question?
The question?
The question.
I see it now. Will there be Nsfw scenes? That's the scene. It's what everyone's been waiting for. I know. It's exciting.
We will have gratuitous hand-holding.
Lewd.
And a lot of OSHA violations.
Lots of Lots
We
of
have
turn over
wicked and
ladders,
funny visual
stuff on
novel
top of
jokes.
ladders.
We might have bad language.
Not on this Christian game.
My Christian games server, you can't have that. That's illegal.
Wait, that's illegal.
Well, cat's out of the bag. Well, to be more direct, yes. So we have planned a couple of scenes that do involve some adult content. That I hope that doesn't really deter anybody. It's not going to be full on hentai ugu content. This is more going to be something that's I would say more realistic and more heartfelt than just straight up porn. We really want to avoid that connotation. We do, again, I will say it again, while we do have adult content, this is not a pornographic game. This is not meant to be a pornographic game. This is meant to be a more realistic game of how people with mental disorders work in a relationship, and that can be a variety of ways. And especially the big thing is just intimacy. How do you be intimate with someone who deals with stuff every day? How does that work? And that's stuff we want to explore as as Eric deepens his relationship with each of the route girls. We'll of course show a multifaceted account of that. But when it comes to the actual physical intimacy, we do intend to be respectful.
Yeah, it's just that sex is a normal part of many adult relationships, and it would be remiss to ignore it, I think. Do we need to draw art of it? No. Will we? Probably yes. But it's not a porn game.
We are all perverts,
Yeah, kind of.
but
Could we fade to black? Maybe. But, no, they're going to be really fun and character driven.
Very character driven. That'll be really important.
Yeah.
Actually, not all of them will be fun. I shouldn't have said that. That's not necessarily all going to be fun.
It's true. There could be very emotionally charged scenes that aren't necessarily happy. There are reasons for that, but we do intend to give a full explanation as to why the scenes are the way they are.
And that kind of ties into the next question of what's our approach to R18 scenes, in particular characterization, context, and emotion.
Yeah, and we really do want to make that a focus where it's like if there will be scenes like that might be a little more emotionally heavy than others, but when that happens, we definitely do want to make sure that they are more character driven, that we focus on the characters as opposed to just the in and out motion and the hot sticky feeling of certain fluids, because God,
Fucking fluid.
the number of times I see
Delete
that
that sentence. Fuck.
every time just drives up the wall sometimes.
Certain fluid.
sometimes the reality is you try to get it on and one of you has a freaking panic attack and you gotta chill out and deal with stuff. You gotta have a discussion.
I'm very serious about erectile dysfunction being part of Eric as a character. But maybe that's just me.
Well, it is, side effects of some of the medications out there.
Right? And was it ever mentioned in Katawa Shoujo? I actually don't remember.
I know Rin thought that Hisao had a problem in his pants.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. I remember
Cocktail
that
of
bit,
medicine really didn't help him.
Well, some of the medication he's on would render him, deaf within a couple of years. So,
Kuro, I want to be mad.
Erectile dysfunction. Oh, fuck.
I want to be mad, but I can't. That's just
I
What
hate
have you
it.
done, Kuro?
who
I
let
hate it.
Not Rider.
who let him out of the cage again.
Horrible.
Oh my god. we'll need to clip this for Twitch because just to show
Oh
full
dear
context.
God!
It's
I
great.
just saw what he posted.
This is why we keep Kuro on, because he brings so much joy to our hearts.
It brings something to our hearts.
Oh yeah. Full on coronary.
Him and Nat's route were a match made in heaven.
Oh
It's
yeah.
it's a specific type of intelligence that I'm just not capable of exhibiting. I don't understand how it. Like, what connections do you need to make in your brain to do this shit?
I don't know. I don't
It's
know
a
about
thing.
Kuro, but for me, unresolved trauma. No, I'm just kidding.
Nah.
No,
I think we all have a little bit of that.
Let's do the next question so we can stop talking about sex.
erectile
All right.
dysfunction.
Yes.
I want to move on
Stop
from
talking.
erectile dysfunction.
All right, something a little more exciting. Will there ever be any spin-off games or DLC? Will we ever see Missing Stars on consoles or mobile? And finally, strange question, but could we ever see something like behind the scenes of Missing Stars? Maybe as a video series. Thought it would be a cool idea. No punctuation.
Terrible.
No ellipses.
Well, I
0
hope-
out of 10.
Simulator.
Well, in terms of like spin-off or DLC content, I'm certainly interested in the idea. I think it's ultimately just like how interested are we in doing it when we're all done? What kind of content does it entail? Is it a full-on extra route? Is it just a couple of scenes with that character? I think it just ultimately depends on what we want to do with it.
See, I'm rooting for the whole Magikoi S approach of just take every background character and start throwing things at them.
I was thinking like the lyrical Nanohana route, where we just make it entirely new spin-off series based on like one character and go from there.
That's it. The game based on Cat.
That's right. An entirely cat-based game. That's it. That's the spin-off game right there. There you go. That's your DLC confirmed.
There can be other cats, and they can all be traumatized.
That's right. Cats talk about their trauma together in the only way cats can, through meows.
Meow.
Perfect. Let's just end the stream on meow.
Sounds about right. As for a console mobile port, I think we have the capability of doing it for Android. We just need to adjust the UI because some of our UI elements are really, really small. Or at least they would show up as very small on like a phone. So we'd probably have to do some finagling there. For consoles, I think that's money. I think that's a lot of money.
That's
So,
where money does become a factor, unfortunately.
yeah. I mean, if there was a gigantic fan demand to put it on, like, say, Nintendo Switch or like the PS4 or something, I'm sure we could discuss it and figure out, is this feasible? Can we do this? But if there's an overwhelming fan demand, like it has to be on this console or I will die or whatever. Certainly, we could look into it. But yeah, I think ultimately it just comes down to if there's enough demand for one, then we can do that.
It costs like $100 to publish something on Steam, which we can just kind of suck up as a team, and we'll chip in to.
Pretty much.
Which because we have no budget for stuff like that, so expenses like publishing on Steam just tend to come out of a few people's pockets. Whoever on the team feels like contributing to those costs.
Pretty much.
Yes,
when it comes to actually making a full-on console, I think that's a little bit more.
That would be a lot more money, I think.
Yeah, and
I don't know how much Nintendo charges to get it on the eStore, but I assume it's a hefty chunk for
Probably.
a zero budget project anyway.
Right?
Yeah, and for those who want to chip in, there's no pressure for anyone to chip in if they're not able to or don't want to. It's for those who want to. I know for myself, once the Steam release comes around, if I'm able to, I'm definitely chipping in because I want this on Steam badly.
Yeah, but there's no membership fee for being part of Somnova. It's
Nope.
it's
Fully
purely voluntary.
Just our souls.
Just a little bit of your immortal soul. That's all I really require.
Blood pact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. That's how that works. Blood pact. All right. Next.
Behind the scenes stuff.
Ooh, yes. Behind the
And this,
scenes.
I really like archiving things, and
Too.
the deep history of Missing Stars is fascinating. So I'd love to do something like that someday.
I know one concern one of our devs brought up was needing permission from former devs whose creations are no longer in the current build, and some may not be comfortable with having it archived, so we'd have to work around that.
That is a factor.
But
Yeah, I think if anything, we just ask for permission about that. And I mean, I'm sure that people have already kind of started the archiving process on their own and might just have older builds just lying around somewhere. But yes, I think the big thing would just be just rights for people whose content is no longer for people. Sorry, if we do have like other archived content, I'm sure we could have that. We could arrange something. We'd probably just have to put disclaimers saying that, yeah, this particular build of the game isn't reflective of our vision or our particular, ideas for the current version of Missing Stars, and we don't consider these canon. We don't consider these, we don't consider these as influences on the current version of the characters in Missing Stars. So obviously, yeah, any archival version would be definitely would be like kind of what is it? Definitely take it with a grain of salt. It's like, yep, what you see here is a very old version. You probably shouldn't you're really regard it. You can look at it purely for archival purposes and just take a look.
Being part of the team is particularly fun when you have access to all of that history, old versions of scripts and route outlines and everything. It's all there. All the stuff that never got released but was written.
There's some wild stuff back in the day. Whew, let me tell you.
When I first joined, I loved looking through that. That was just such a interesting time.
I just hope the Swedish twins, that route outline was really epic.
That was a hot mess. My God, we tried so hard to make that original version work, and it just was painful to read through every single time. It didn't work. It just didn't work. We have Kuro to thank for turning the characters into the meme lords that they are now, and it's great.
It's been fun returning as an early dev and seeing all of the evolution that the game has gone through since its conception.
Like,
that's
you were
right.
originally the writer for Catcher, weren't you?
Yes, she was.
I
Absolutely
wasn't
wild.
the first.
That
I
is
was
true.
like second writer.
Mm-hmm. What was it? The first writer.
Citrus.
That's it. Yeah. He did not meld well with the team, unfortunately. We had plenty of characters within our team that just did not meld well eventually, and we either kind of had them leave of their own accord. But I think from there, yeah, Mary, you joined. You were already part of the team, but then you became conscious writer for a little bit. Then we handed her off. You left, and then Gloom came on to write for Katja at that point. And then he left, and then now we have Messy over here, who's done a fantastic job writing Katja. Messy, if you're listening to this VOD later, you're fantastic.
we love you.
Katja, you're fantastic. Thumbs up. You can't see me giving you a thumbs up, but I'm doing it right now. I am thumbs upping the screen.
Yes, I quite like our eye patch girl as she exists now.
Yes.
I swear this will be the last iteration. Essie
Yes.
is the Catcher writer. There won't be a fifth.
She's become something much better than I could have written.
Yeah, I honestly, looking back, I think right now the only character that has not changed hands in terms of writing and styling is John. John has been pretty much the same since her initial conception. Her initial character concept and writer was not mine. That was another writer who, before any actual writing was done, he decided that he wasn't interested in writing, or I think he didn't have time. It could have been both, and eventually that role was handed out to me, which happens to be 10 years ago exactly. So I received Jean's role 10 years ago exactly, which is just the most bizarre thing. So that's a fun Somnova deep lore fact. It is this year is exactly 10 years since I got the role of Jean's writer,
Wow.
which is kind of fun.
I just don't want somebody to collect all the pre-release material, package it up, and then claim it's some kind of secret beta that we never released for some reason. It's like, not that that
Never
would
really
ever
want a
yeah.
situation.
That's the thing. Oh, look, I mean, not to harp on Katawa Shoujo. I mean, Katawa Shoujo is solid, but the fan base definitely has really tries to take a lot from these older unreleased versions and is really trying to make something out of it and trying to add a lot of characterization that isn't actually canon. It's a little bit impressive that they're doing that, but at the same time, I prefer that, if we do have archival versions, like we really make clear that yes, these are not canon. These will never be canon. Don't take anything you see in here with, any amount of seriousness, because this will never be present in the final version.
Have fun.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's there you go. A little more fun character. I said character. A little fun more question. Who are the devs' favorite Missing Stars characters?
I think isn't the correct answer Fran? Isn't that's just how that's like a fact?
Probably. I'd call that a canon Somnova fact. I think all of us here enjoy Fran as a character.
Yes.
Great.
Fran is goals for me.
I don't know how we did that, but Fran became what was meant to be just a side character for certain scenes in Act 1 to probably everyone's favorite character to write for.
There's not a whole lot of Fran in the remainder of Anna's route. They just crop up every now and then, and I'm really looking forward to writing those scenes.
They're super exciting. I think we've done a really good job writing Fran's current character. They've just been that dark horse candidate that just comes up from behind. And you're like, whoa, where did this come from? And here we are.
They've really become Somnova's mascot right now. Like, I know for the backdrop for our podcast on YouTube, it's Fran.
It's Fran.
It's always Fran. But
Bizarre
outside,
that
Fran all
they
the way
go that route,
down.
like it's bonkers.
for myself personally, my favorite characters probably have to be Jean and Irene are probably my favorites. Irene is not a route, unfortunately, which I am still very disappointed in, but such is life.
Such is life. And of course, people are also saying like, there's no Fran route. They're also sad. Such is life.
No Ella route. No Sophia
No Ella
route.
route. People like Ella too. Ella's a fun character.
I swear our
Yeah.
background characters are more popular than our main cast.
It's the
What have
knowing
we
that
done?
you want something that you can't have, and that makes it
Pretty much.
Like-
That's pretty much how it works.
I figure we're gonna be rating all of our routes eventually by number of Fran scenes in them.
Yeah,
Probably.
that's a good metric.
Like, do you want the best experience as Fran? Pick this route.
I think for me, most relatable is Nell.
Nell is adorable and is a sweetie pie. I can't not love her. She's the best.
My favorite
I
is
just like
obviously
all the
Anna.
characters. Let's
Otherwise,
be
I
real here.
wouldn't be writing her. It would be weird if I was writing a character that wasn't my favorite character.
That's fair,
Right.
to be honest.
Would that be weird? Maybe it wouldn't be weird, but I don't think I'd get much pleasure out of it. I'd be envious of whoever was writing my favorite character.
There you go. I think for me, obviously, I'm biased. Like, I enjoy writing for my own character, Jean. So of course I'm biased. But excluding Jean, I've been particular towards Nat, of course. Natalia and Sophia are fantastic. I really do like Irene. I know she's just this hilarious, hyperactive little gremlin who is really fun to write for. I've written like I think half a scene with her, but even that little tiny bit was a delight to write for.
Yeah, Irene doesn't really pop up with Jean much, does she?
Not with Jean in particular. I think for this scene, I think it was I believe it was a common scene I wrote part of, and then I had to write Irene in. So that's where we have Irene. This is my slight contribution to the greatness of her very large character, even though she's short.
To be honest, I love that energy. Like, because I just feel like in real life, I need somebody to pull me out of my shell. Because I have a tendency to just like be a hermit.
You just need the living embodiment of chaos to pull you out of your shell.
Yes, and keep life interesting.
Yeah, there you go. All right, this next one's a twofer. Where is Cat's missing eye? I assume this is Katya. And can I eat it? Why is Kuro the sexiest person on the dev team? Now, part of me feels like Kuro wrote this himself.
He's not a
No,
troll.
I
He
don't know
wouldn't
why
do
you'd say
that.
that.
He's not.
No, anyone could hold this opinion.
Anyone could hold this opinion. But in terms of Katya's missing eye, I can just say spoilers at this point.
Yeah.
Some details are wrong. I would say no, you can't eat a non-existent eye. Obviously, that's not how that works. In terms of Katya and the eye patch, though, I believe that is going to be a story point that will be explored in her route. So look forward to that, please.
As for Kuro being the sexiest man, it's because of the smooth jazz it plays whenever he enters the room.
That's right.
And the
I don't know how
puns.
he does it. It's the puns, really.
It's the puns.
It is the puns.
Sense of humor makes a man sexy.
Yes.
Or woman, or anyone in between, or beyond.
No, I gotcha. I mean, that's how I got my current partner, with my charming wit and ability to cook food. That's how I won. That's how I won everything. It was great. All right. Here's a fun one. Are there any visual novels besides Katawa Shoujo that influenced anyone's output?
No.
There are other
Not for
visual
me.
novels.
Those exist.
I don't play visual novels.
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense.
He's been found out.
So, when you're talking about influencing anyone's output, does that include what not to do?
Okay.
Oh, I got a
Not
list. I think I got a
We're
review on
talking
Steam
about
of one of
that
them.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can definitely agree that yes, bad visual novels can affect it, indeed influence our output. Yeah, if you know this one, you know this one. Yeah, it's Driftwood. Just Driftwood. So that's all you need to do. That's all you really need to know here. Yeah.
No.
It's actually the last visual novel I played, I think, and aside from ones that I have made, and it was like 2 years ago now. We played through that and regretted it.
Yup.
It's so much
Yeah.
worse than you could ever imagine.
I don't know how they did that, but that's beside the point. Other visual novels that I've personally enjoyed that weren't Katawa Shoujo. I've particularly enjoyed one called Quartet. It takes place in Europe. It is about a boy who goes to the school it's a music school, and he can get with one of like any number of characters, and it's just very very music school themed. It's cute. Pretty much all of the music is instrumental. It's all classical music influenced. It's honestly very beautiful. The way it's presented as well, it's more comic book style panels as opposed to just static sprites on a screen. Um, so there's definitely it's a very deliberate style that works really really well. It is one of the few visual novels that I actually own physically. I saw it on sale out on a convention a couple years ago, and I immediately bought it. I'm like, I have to have this. This has been a fantastic VN. I have to actually physically own it. It's absolutely stellar. Um, Probably one of my favorite visual novels of all time. It really works. It's I could go on and on about it, uh, but it's been a lot of fun.
You're kind of selling it to me.
What was that?
So you're kind of selling it to me, and now I'm tempted to check it out.
I totally recommend it. I will share it with you later and see what you think. One thing I will note, it is very adult. It is definitely a little bit more on the porny side, at least in terms of the adult cutscenes that are in there. Yes, there is adult content in that one, but at the same time, at least it's not egregiously bad. At least it's written decently, but it's as I'm say decently as in you know it's it's toned down. It's not nearly as bad as some other scenes I've read that are just like, wow, this is totally unnecessary.
I think this is kind of relevant in answer to this question. I'm not sure where else it would be relevant. I don't. It's probably not true of other writers on the team. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. I think of visual novels mainly as a medium, rather than a genre. They're a medium for storytelling. So
Yeah, I agree.
I'm more influenced by film and TV than I am other visual novels.
Yeah, definitely. I feel much more influenced by the anime I've read or that I've read, anime I've seen, manga I've read. Definitely it's definitely any good story is an excellent influence. But yeah, like I've read my fair share of VNs, but definitely I feel I've been more influenced by the books I've read. I've had this great concept for a sci-fi visual novel for a long time, and it's heavily influenced by Ray Bradbury, Asimov, uh, two of my favorite all-time authors for science fiction, and I would love to eventually bring that to life in a future project.
If I'm going to enjoy a visual novel, it's probably, at least in part, because it's not written like a visual novel. There's for real commercial titles, especially, I think there's a bit of a writing style that I don't like very much, because I'm a bit of a pretentious twat, to be honest. But I'd rather experience other writing styles.
Oh,
Just
absolutely.
using visual novels as a medium. That's where I get my kicks.
Absolutely. I would love to do like a detective noir style VN at some point. I think that'd be super fun. I love
Oh, that would be
mysteries.
nice.
I love a good thriller. My partner's really gotten me into like actually good horror and thriller movies. Yeah, for years I had just been turned off to just the terrible horror movies that I saw when I worked at the movie theater. It's like, man, these are just bottom of the barrel horror movies. These are terrible. And my partner's like, no, yeah, those are terrible. Here's some actual good ones. Just watch it. Just watch it with me. And I'm like, oh, this is good now. I like
Um,
it.
I know one. I don't know if this falls under visual novel per se, but the Zero Escape series, in particular, I've adored.
I think you streamed that for a bit, didn't you? I think I remember that.
I did. I have
Yeah.
to get back to streaming that.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
Zero
fun.
Escape is a great game.
Oh, I love it. 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors is the best one of the series to this day.
I also
Yeah,
have to give
definitely.
kudos to Flowers. Really good VN.
I've heard you talking about that one before. That's a good one. I'm also a sucker
Obligatory
for.
Fate Grand Order mention.
Yeah, there you go. Fake Grand Order. There you go. Technically, I mean, there's that visual novel presentation. I think a big one for me too. This is definitely more game than it is visual novel, but Ace Attorney, just the Ace Attorney series in general, has just been fantastic. The writing's great. Some of the puzzle solving is really fun. Uh, of course, the countless stepladder memes have solidified that as probably just a favorite of mine personally.
Ooh, I
I've
have.
been slowly working my way through that series.
I was gonna say I bought that on
Finally.
Steam a while ago on sale. I have to play through that.
It's cheesy as fuck,
I love cheesy
Yeah.
and
though.
I kind of want to hate it, but I can't. It's so
Yeah.
likable.
Yep. It's kind of funny.
Sounds like it doesn't take itself too seriously, which I appreciate.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't. If
Like-
it did, it would be
I hate
total shit. But it gets away with it because it clearly doesn't take itself seriously.
There are some hilarious moments. I highly recommend it. You can get the games on. Let's see, I think you can get the first 3 on like Android and iOS for a couple bucks now.
I have them on Switch for some reason. I assume they were on sale at some point, and I impulse bought them.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know why I have them on Switch, but that's where I've been playing them.
There you
fine.
go. Those are great. Yeah, no, they're. I would say if you want like Bodo, if you want like a really good like puzzle game that like it's not necessarily Zero Escape series style puzzle, but it's more of a like reading carefully, taking notes, and like following the story. If you really like those kinds of games, definitely try out Ace Attorney. All of those are fantastic at doing what they do.
I'm just getting flashbacks. Like, first of all, I'm definitely gonna check it out. But I'm also just getting flashbacks to the first stream where like we're just trying to figure out where the hell One Piece in that flooding room is. But it was.
Oh, and it was like under the pillow or some shit, right? And
I can't
we
click
slowly
it.
checked the pillow
I
like
can't
20
click
times. Yeah,
it. Was it?
we had fun.
Good times.
How do I live
Right.
in real life? How do I get things done? How do I
So it's
function?
just like playing an old LucasArts game.
How often in real life do you have to find hidden objects under pillows?
All the time because I lose my shit all the time.
Yeah, fair enough. I was halfway through the question. I was like, no, the answer's actually going to be quite a lot, isn't it? I lose my phone under my pillow almost every night. Falls down the back of the bed or some shit. So
I've gotten really good at retracing my steps and finding stuff, which is great because I do it way too often. I've gotten a lot of practice. I used to freak out when I lost. I used to freak out when I lose my phone or something, and now I'm just like, it's somewhere.
It's somewhere.
All right, probably should move on to the next one. Will we stay together to create more projects after Missing Stars?
Will we?
God no.
Find
God,
out.
no.
Can't
Bye.
wait to get
No.
out of here.
Too late. We're already in too deep. We're in this forever. Yeah. I certainly would like to stay together. I've had a great time so far, and I'm sure smaller scale projects would probably be less soul crushing and less soul destroying, so that we can actually get some fun stuff done. I would love to make more games in the style of Arcadia, Circia, those 2 that we've made. Anything like that would be really great. So absolutely would love to work with smaller scale projects.
Do more
That's the thing,
collabs.
isn't it? Like if Missing Stars was all we were ever gonna do, then we wouldn't have the occasional side project. But we do. And that'll probably continue to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to continue being a group that actually does make visual novels on a regular basis, and not just pulling all of our resources into making one giant one. Yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
And I mean, obviously, I can't speak for everybody else on the team, but I would assume that enough of us were really do genuinely enjoy each other's company, and that we all do really we're not only are a lot of us, we're all friends, but we also share a common goal in wanting to complete Missing Stars, as well as share a bunch of other fun stuff. So I definitely do want to work with you guys a lot more, as much as I can, on any other project, because it's super fun and exciting.
For other things we've done, we've tended to split up a little bit into smaller teams. Like, not everyone in Somnova worked on Arcadia. Not everyone in Somnova worked on Sakea, and that collaborative thing with Watercress, Field of Flowers and Stars. That was just a small number of us.
Right.
So I imagine after Missing Stars, it will carry on a bit like that.
I would think so. I mean, until if we all want to make another large scale project, I'm sure that's something we could eventually pool our resources into, if that interested the team. But I could definitely see us, let's just split off and do our own thing. Let's have half the team work on a project and the other half work on another one.
Yeah,
those are all certainly things that we can do, and that's kind of the beauty of kind of how our structure works, is that it's very easy to it's easy enough for some of us to split off and do our own thing when we need to.
Yeah, it's almost like we can split off and do our own thing without splitting off from the studio. So
yeah, totally.
That's kind of the beauty of it.
All right, I just want to answer a quick question from Twitch chat. Max asked when I'm going to stream Little Nightmares again, and the answer is when you play my fucking Halloween game. Play The Remains of My Affection.
Play Missing
That was just a nice
yes.
opportunity for a plug.
That's right. I love that one, by the way, Adam. You did such a good job working with everyone on the team. I was really pulled in by that whole thing. That was really well done.
I'm very proud of it. I worked with some very talented people.
So good. Great job. Yes, please play that, you guys.
The Remains of My Affection. Search it up, you'll find it. It's on itch. Yeah, it's a good one.
You can play it in a web browser.
Yeah, you don't even have to download it. Pure in browser. It's great. No excuses.
Yeah, I was about to say, Max, you have zero excuses.
It even runs on your phone. Works on your phone perfectly fine. Go play. I won't apologize for that plug.
There you go. But yes, I think we as a group pretty much intend to kind of stay together as much as we can. We all really like each other. We all want to try and do more creative projects, whether that's Missing Stars or other smaller stuff. That's kind of how we want to do things. So cool stuff. All right, the penultimate question, and this is, I don't know who asked, is there anything I can do to help out the development team in any way? I appreciate all of your hard work and really want you to succeed. I mean, the big one would be, tell other people about your game. I know we've mentioned that before. Word of mouth advertising is fantastic. Please tell your friends and people that are interested in this kind of stuff, tell them about Missing Stars, tell them about our group. We are always excited to have new people join us and talk about our game. That's kind of what we like.
We do accept exposure as payment. Not everyone does, so don't assume that,
Right.
but we do.
It's the only method of payment we accept.
Exactly.
Fact.
Basically, yes.
So spread the word. Tell everybody.
In terms of other help, though, if you're an artist, if you're a programmer, or if you do marketing, PR, we are looking for people who fit one or more of those roles. If you go on Lemasoft forums, we do have a post on there. Actually, we'll share a link in our chat here in just a second for people that are interested in checking that out.
I'll get the link.
Yeah, it'd be great. But yeah, if you actually want to contribute to our team, we are hiring people. I say hire as in, can you do the work? Yes or no. Can you be a nice person to us? Yes or no. And then basically, yeah, if you pass those, you're pretty much in. We're very friendly and don't bite. We have regular meetings where we chat about regular stuff, like real human beings.
And shit
We don't have a cafeteria or a fireman's pole or anything like that because we don't really exist. But we do have some private Discord channels.
And we shitpost a lot in private.
Yeah.
So I just dropped the link in our chat if anyone wants to check it out. Hiring new cage guards for me. Yes, because Kuro keeps getting out of the cage, and our guards aren't doing anything about it.
He just keeps eating them. Please stop him. Yeah.
Well, it is our fault for setting gummy bears as guards, so...
Yeah. Too delicious. That
Budget-
was our problem.
Budget
All we
constraints.
could afford.
Budget constraints. That's right. That's right.
Now,
I told you to go for the Swedish fish.
that was way out of the budget.
Those are too good. God, I'd eat all of the Swedish fish if someone was like, make a bar out of these. I'm like, nope.
I fucking hate those things. It's the
Oh,
they're kind
they're
of
so tasty.
they're kind
I
of
love
wax.
them.
It's the kind of waxy texture that gets stuck in your teeth.
I don't know
Can't deal
why,
with
but I like that texture. I don't know why. I don't know what's
not
wrong with
me.
me. It's weird, but it's so good.
I had a dog that would beg for them whenever I was eating them, and it was so weird.
Those can't be good for a dog. It's gonna
I don't
gum
think
it
they're
up.
good for a dog.
What's funny is the texture will make or break a food for me, even if it tastes all right. For example, oatmeal. Everyone loves oatmeal. I cannot stand the texture, and I've tried.
can't either.
I've tried.
Reasonable.
I've tried everything. I've tried microwaving. I've tried overnight oats. I have tried so hard to like it, but I can't.
For me, it's the smell. I don't like the smell of it. It just doesn't smell right to me, and I can't eat it.
It's
so
raw tomatoes for
quirky.
me.
Same.
Any food that bursts, I can't deal with. Mainly raw tomatoes. And
I love
anything that bursts in your mouth is I will just immediately throw up all over the room.
I mean, I don't blame you, especially something like a big juicy tomato is like, yeah, like that's gonna get everywhere.
Ugh.
I love big juicy tomatoes.
Tomatoes are good. I love tomatoes.
They're fine
Okay.
cooked or made into a sauce, but just like a cooked tomato, absolutely fine. But something about a raw tomato,
Yeah, no,
can't
I
do
got you.
it.
Oh, I don't like the texture of stewed tomato.
Ah, yeah.
Interesting.
I could do some. I might try sun-dried tomato.
Sun-dried tomatoes
Yeah, those
are
are right.
delicious. I have made some fantastic Italian dishes with just a little bit of sun-dried tomato in them, and oh boy, flavor is so much better.
Tomato paste, I hear, adds a lot of flavor to sauces.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
totally. It's pretty much a necessity. You need to use tomato sauce for like for soups and stews. Adding a tablespoon of tomato sauce is like necessary. It adds a lot of flavor. It thickens it a little bit too. Fantastic.
And now, for the most important question, I think, on this document. What doth life? 42.
42.
69.
420.
Plays it. Dab, 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 dab.
What a great way to sign off.
There we go. It just dabs until we fade out. Just gonna keep doing it over and over again.
Don't make me get a dabbing gif.
No, I don't think we need to necessarily do that.
I just
I
dab.
guess in terms of what does it mean to be happy? What does it mean to be alive? You could answer that any number of ways. Some people say that cooked tomatoes are great. Others people say that raw tomatoes are not great. It's it's your opinion.
That's life.
It's life.
Life
Sometimes
is a big raw tomato.
yeah. And sometimes you have to take a bite out of that tomato and have it just burst right in your mouth.
Yeah, just like the planet Earth.
That's right.
Life is a
Won't
party,
fucking
and we were all dragged here by our parents.
Wow, I like that one actually.
I heard I don't know if this was satire, and I probably was, but I thought I read something like a guy was suing his parents because he did not consent to being brought into this world.
Oh my god.
Some days that's a mood.
Don't tell that one to certain people I know of. They'd try it.
We didn't ask to be born here, but since we were, we might as well make visual novels.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I can't think of
Resident
anything better to do.
stars.
Yeah, I'm here. Might as well try to enjoy this roller coaster of raw tomato called life. Where was I going with this?
I don't know. For the last 10 minutes of this thing, my cat has just been like attacking my arm, like tearing. I've got like 3 different open cuts on my.
Oh my god.
I've been trying not to say anything. I
I
hate
have
this
a
monster.
hamburger waiting to be eaten. But I don't
Oh,
know.
eat the hamburger. That's much more important.
Burger sounds good.
Food sounds good.
I already had my food.
So did I.
I liked my food. I said I made a mushroom goulash earlier, right?
Yes.
Yes. I need to share that recipe for people because it is very tasty.
I
And for
know.
people that are interested in the goulash, it's actually not a bad recipe to make. It's actually quite easy. I cooked it, I think, in maybe, I want to say like 30 minutes. It's a really easy meal.
That's about my limit, I think.
Yep.
Maybe 40 if it's something really good. I might spend 40 minutes on it.
I spent Valentine's Day weekend roasting a leg of lamb for like an hour and a
Oh,
half.
baby.
It was
Ooh.
really, really good. It's
I
from New
love
Zealand,
lamb.
where the best lamb is. Don't let anyone else tell you. New Zealand lamb is the best in terms of flavor and composition. It is tender, it's flavorful, it's just, it's perfect. It was, let's see, like $40 for just the leg, but it was like 5 pounds of
Shit.
meat. So
Wow.
not only did we have like leftovers, but we also I froze the bone, so maybe make a good soup stock out of that later. Because I am excited. It's a big honking leg bone. It's delicious looking. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to get it out because it was like just tight. I thought it'd be like stuck to the meat, but because we'd roasted it for so long, uh, the bone just kind of just slid right out.
Oh,
And that's the end of
Perfect.
Jean's route.
Right? Yes.
I think we can
Yeah,
end
man,
on that
You said
note.
like meat and the bones slid out, and like I
Like-
wish Kuro was here.
I guess he got over his erectile dysfunction.
Oh yeah. John will do that to you.
Ending it how we started with such awful jokes.
Yes. That's how we began, and that's how the world will end. Just a bad joke.
So Kuro's the cause at the end of the Earth confirmed.
Yeah. Eventually, his self-propagation techniques will spread throughout all corners of the globe, and thus cause us all to explode.
Yay!
Never change, Mary. Please never change.
Never change, indeed. You guys are all great.
What are you saying? I change every day.
Yay.
I think he's saying, "Please stop." Just settle down.
Please be one person.
So if anybody knows guards that take payment and exposure, please let us know.
Right?
We need to contain this thing. We love you, Kuro, and don't stop being you.
We've run out of gummy bears to hold them at bay, so yeah, we do need some help there. All right. Well, it has been a fantastic evening answering all of these questions. I've had a blast.
This was
This
a
has
lot of
been
fun.
just a delightful evening, and it's been a delightful 10 years. I think it's just me and Mary that are the people that have actually been here the longest, technically, at least in terms of time.
I
and
wasn't
Mary,
here for all of it, but
you were here at the idea's conception, so it's like you knew,
Yeah.
You were there 10 years ago, and now you're
Yeah.
here 10 years later.
Yay!
So here we are.
It's like you cheated. You skipped loads of it.
You skipped it, yeah.
She selected the skip
Yeah,
option in life.
So I did the skipped option, and here she is a couple years later. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's all good. But seriously, I am proud of everyone on our team. I'm exceptionally proud of what we've made with Missing Stars. This has been a fantastic 10 years, regardless of the number of funny jokes and puns that I make about it. It has been a lot of fun and super, super exciting. And of course, we're also super thankful for all of our fans, all of our friends who have been supporting us throughout these years. It's been a blast. And I cannot wait to show you guys all the stuff that we have planned for Missing Stars. Not only do we have our Steam release coming, but we also, of course, have the full version of Missing Stars, which will come out eventually. But not, it's not going to take forever. I can promise you that. It's not going to take another 10 years. I'm sure we can get it out a lot sooner than that because we're a lot more organized and a lot more competent than we were than when we started.
Writing is actually happening right now
Yes.
for the rest of the
Actually
game.
finished.
Scenes
I've
are
actually
coming in.
finished like 4 scenes. It's great.
We were stalled for quite a long time, not going to lie.
Blame the pandemic.
Yeah, in pandemic times, we didn't really write very much. We kind of made our bed a bit, We got things in order. We did a lot of... We fixed the code base, but now we're actually writing. We're
It feels good.
blasting through it.
I enjoy writing.
And in defense of all of us, like because COVID caused a huge disruption in our personal lives. A lot of us have mental disorders, whether it be anxiety, depression, ASD, ADHD, etc. It threw a lot of us off, and it took a while for us to recover from. Not all of us, but a good chunk.
I think the big thing from that is we learned how we definitely didn't break apart as a team. I think a lot of us we did our best to stay together. We worked through what is probably one of the worst events we've had to go through collectively as a species, at least in recent memory. To come out of that ready and willing to work on our project again and really make a lot of strong progress is excellent. I'm super proud of everyone who was able to do that. It's certainly it's not an easy thing to do, especially because of a pandemic. But the fact that we've come out of it a lot stronger, we've come out of it with a really good rock solid code base, knowing what to do, being a lot more organized. We're definitely poised to make a lot of really excellent progress on Missing Stars in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
More people left my team in my actual real life job than left Somnova over the pandemic by a significant factor as well.
Dang.
And I think that's true of a lot of places. There was the whole, huge numbers of people quitting. It was the same at my partner's job. Like, I think that about 50% of their team left in 12 months over the pandemic.
Wow.
Yeah. Whereas I think Somnova's lost maybe 2 or 3 people have left the team in that time. Which isn't bloody bad going for a project like this, let me tell you. That's pretty good churn figure.
Mm-hmm. For essentially an all volunteer project, we only did a little bit because people got busy, people had to leave for whatever reason. It's like that happens.
There's nothing keeping people here,
Oh yeah, no, we're all here because we want to.
I think the fact that we're a volunteer project, I think it works in our favor because there's no feelings of being cheated over money or being laid off due to financial reasons. It's when we're able to work, we work, and we're all pretty understanding of if someone's having a rough go mentally.
I feel like, at least for me, there's a lot of stuff that happened in 2020 that I wouldn't have been able to cope with if I didn't have y'all as a support network, like losing my mother.
Yeah, I remember that. It was sad. But yeah, I think all of us are supporting each other, and I think that's been super duper important. Like that's I think that's a really critical thing, that we're all here for each other, and I think that's kind of what makes us a really strong group.
I feel like there were times where I was just not on my best behavior, and instead of being kicked off, people help me grow and just be a better person, just learn how to work with others, and it's I've definitely learned a lot and grown as a human being working with Somnova and working with everybody here, and I'm grateful for the patience people have shown me. Very grateful.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, once again, thank you for everyone who dropped in to say hello or just watch the stream. And for the people that are watching this VOD later on YouTube, where we're going to put it up, thank you for taking the time to watch and listen to the entire thing. We really appreciate that. That's fantastic. So thank you, everybody. We do hope once again to show you all the fun stuff that we got planned for Missing Stars this year, next year, and the year after that.
We're making the game.
We are making the game.
It's gonna release.
We're doing it.
We're doing it. That's right.
It's coming out next week.
There we go.
It's not.
Let's give it to Adam, please.
Coming out tomorrow.
No.
Screams in PR.
All the HC Bloopy scribbles.
There you go.
Y'all have taken 2 decades off of my life.
Yeah, just shave it right off there. That fine razor edge.
Good. I don't want to be here longer than I have to on this earth. No, I'm just kidding. I'm enjoying life. Don't look too
That's
deep
good.
into that.
No, I got you. We got you. Wink, wink, nudge,
Life
nudge.
is cool.
Making visual novels is a good hobby. It brings me a huge amount of joy.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's like, I mean, for me, it's nice to have something to distract myself from life, because the last 12 months have been rough, and having Somnova has been a huge blessing.
We get back to making the game instead of streaming.
I guess we have to, don't we?
We've wasted. We've managed to waste 2 hours now where we could have been making Missing Stars.
What have we done? Oh no.
Honestly, I'm doing my job, helping interact with fans. That sounds like y'all's problem.
Fair
Oh,
enough.
I see.
Um,
And just draw a pretty girl.
Yeah, draw pretty girl.
Oh, that reminds me, we have to post the chibi art on Twitter tomorrow. Remind me to do that.
We do have our little anniversary art photo. Actually, I think you can, if you want. Actually, let's do it right now. Photo,
alright.
you can put it up on screen. You can stream it.
All right.
Show it off to everybody.
All right, give me 2 seconds. Or 2 jiffies, I think is the saying. Why jiffies specifically? I don't
A
understand.
little history lesson for all y'all Somnova Studios fans. 10 years ago, Mary made for us, when we first started working on Missing Stars officially, a little group shot of the characters that we were using at the time for Missing Stars. That was our first blog post on our blog, and we did all that. And now Mary has graciously designed a beautiful little piece of art with the current girls and some nice, cute little chippies.
look at that shit.
Look at this.
Love it.
Yay! You did an excellent job with this, Mary. This is super cute, and I love it.
I adore it. I kind of want this to be our new Discord icon. Or, like, at least for, like, Twitter, Instagram.
Yeah, we probably do that. That's actually super easy to do.
I think I can
We'll probably do that after the stream, you guys.
I'll probably take care of that after the stream, to be honest with you.
Yeah, do it.
Oh, I will.
Do it. Make it so, number one. It's a little Star Trek reference there. I like Star Trek.
Oh, one detail I love, I don't know if this shows up on stream super well. Jean's snap actually shows up in the shadow along with the little
Yeah,
animation.
yeah, that's super cute. Yeah, it's nice.
I love that detail. I also
It's-
love, and I just love the. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be gushing about this live on stream. Deal with it. I love like the shadow and like the space in between, like the literal stars in the shadow. That's just.
Oh shit! There are the stars, guys. We found them.
Ah, we found them.
Hey.
We did it. We did it. The game doesn't need you anymore. Goodbye, everybody.
That's actually a great sign off. Let's just cut the stream there.
All right,
It's over.
it's done.
Bye, everybody. Thanks again, everyone, for showing up.
Have a
Really
good
appreciate
night.
it.
Hope you
Have a good
hope you
night,
enjoy,
everybody.
and hope you
Good
enjoy the
night.
VOD.
Fantastic.
Thanks for listening, folks.
Yep. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
See ya.